Now, Cure recently published a book entitled The State of Black Progress. One of the contributors claims that despite the good intentions of the federal government, conditions in the Black community have gotten worse, not better, because as you're talking about, the misguided progressive policies, together with the frequent rhetoric and reliance on victimhood. Now, so we've talked about why the policies have failed, because they were perhaps designed even to fail.
Right.
But much of the violent crime in America is committed in poor Black communities in cities controlled for years by the Democrats.
Right.
I recall that Donald Trump once asked a Black audience, "Vote for me. What have you got to lose?" Given the utter failure of Democrat mayors to control crime and to alleviate poverty in their cities, Star, why do Blacks continue to vote for Democrats?
Okay, I got to unpack that question because it's full of a lot of details that are necessary for us to understand. First of all, the Black community is not in the disarray that the progressives keep pretending that it is. That's one of the reasons that we do the State of Black Progress. The State of Black Progress is a counter to what the Urban League does. We consider ourselves an alternative to the Urban League's messaging and the antithesis of Black Lives Matters. What the Urban League has said for the last 60 years is that nothing has changed in Black America, and it's not true. And in fact, most African Americans are either in the middle class or above.
I had no idea.
Most don't. We have concentrated poverty, and we've concentrated in these cities, and in doing that, it looks bad for everyone, and it affects absolutely everyone because of the behaviors in a concentrated few. No, this is a challenge for us as a country. And in fact, we first named it, when we first brought out our tome to counter the Urban League, we actually named it the State of Black America. That's the name of theirs. And they sent us a cease and desist. They tried to sue us to say, you can't use that name. So we said, okay, then fine, we'll use the State of Black Progress. So let's look at Black progress. Let's see if America actually works for Blacks. And it does. But the other side of your question, why then do the Blacks still vote Democrat? Well, when you think about what happened coming out of the 60s, where we had a movement that said remove governmental barriers. Jim Crow were governmental barriers. Remove these governmental barriers so we can live free. Dr. King wanted repentance and revival. But the people that picked up that baton after him, they wanted revenge and redistribution. So what they did is they took a desegregation movement and turned it into a forced integration movement. And that's where we started seeing policies of affirmative action and other government actions to try to alleviate some of the challenges coming out of government intervention of Jim Crow. I mean, more government is what they did. Well, more government didn't help at all. In fact, it hurt to start doing this type of approach, because in that type of approach, you start hiring workers. The same thing we're seeing today. Government keeps hiring, even with every time a Dems in charge and they say, well, you know, we have low unemployment. It's because you guys keep hiring people. So and now they're unionized government workers, which is a whole nother show. But so what happened in Black America with government intervention and start hiring, we now have 65% of the Black middle class working for some form of government. That's why they vote for Democrats, because Democrats hire them through government, and people do vote their economic interests. When you look at the disproportionate numbers of African Americans that either work for the feds, or they work for the state, or they work for the county, or they work for the city, they are working in this apparatus. They work for the criminal justice system. They work for the postal systems. They work for the teacher, the education system. This is a challenge for the middle class of African American baby boom and above. But it's not a challenge for under baby boom. And this is why you mentioned Donald Trump, that he's now attracting that younger African American, because they don't work for government, nor do they want to. Now, is there family disarray? Absolutely. Are there things that we need to do to try to recover this? Of course. Are there other places that it's impacting us? Yes, because if you do not have a stable family life, 2 parents in the home, you don't have a pastor, you have a principal who is connected to big government, so their hands are tied to really do something positive for you, even though you're messed up in your family life and you don't have a pastor. And the next thing you know, you have a politician who makes promises, I'll just steal from those others to give to you. And then the next thing you know, you have a pipeline pipeline to the prisons and the police. So you got the 5 Ps going on in every individual's life. Well, in a suburban environment and or in a more healthy environment, you're going to have all of those 5 Ps functioning. You're going to have
the 5 Ps?
Parents, pastors, principals, politicians, and police. And if one of those is out of sync with the other, then you have a really messed up community. So in these communities you're asking about, where we have concentrated poverty, 8,700 broken zip codes, you don't have parents, so you have police. You have
now we don't even have police.
Because you have unionized police, and they're in disarray because people are starting to judge, why can't we have community policing? And the answer from progressives is, then don't get any policing at all.
Yeah, right. Defund the police.
Defund the police. You don't need that. We will just take care of you. Well, what about the crime? Don't worry about it. But what about, don't worry about it. So yes, in our tome, we focus on housing policy for sure, because housing policy is very, very critical for how we're going to solve the problems of those that are now trapped in this cycle of government dependency. We've got to break up what government did during the 60s and 70s. There's no other way to fix it. There's just no other way. Housing policy, health policies, education policies, and even our economic policies have to be rethought